Hi, once again, this is your boy Terry. My username is surpassing Google across the internet. And in this particular video, I'll be answering the question in a video, a live stream. Um, which country is it better to travel to, the Philippines or Thailand? For this subject, I'll be airing my views as a legitimate literate and as someone who has been to both places, but I'll also be reading or paraphrasing from a very nice resource that I found on Quora answering the question. I see the importance of having a video that is live streamed, unedited on this subject on the internet for people that may be looking for a video resource answering this question. So, in portions of this video, I'll be reading from the experience of someone who has visited both places. According to me, the first aspect of the first aspect when it comes to tackling this question is the purpose of travel. What are you traveling to? If you're traveling just for tourism, then the answer is different from if you're thinking of residing in these places. And when it comes to tourism, I've been in the Philippines for a long time, but mostly Manila. I've been to Thailand, but only once, and I didn't see much of Thailand because I stuck in Bangkok. But according to me, I don't have to have visited too many places to understand the paradigms of nation. Even from as much as eating the food, I can tell you of its people. But that's me. Those are my gifts, and I'm a legitimate literate for the most part. And my perception when it comes to matters is is not contained in the books. So yes. So if you were visiting, hmm, now it depends on how many days and what your purpose of visiting is. If you just want to marry, well, okay, let's tackle it like this. The Philippines has touristic areas for sure. The beaches are like you'll see on an LCD TV, like bizarrely amazing. I mean, it's hard to explain these things. Quite unbelievable because I've seen beaches in other places, and you will not believe when you see pictures of these beaches that these are how these places are. When they say white sand and light blue water, that is how it is, and it's surprising, really, to see beaches that are that clean and beautiful. I did the Boracay one, and it's just marveling, really. Now, I would say that I've not been around Thailand, but perhaps the Philippines beats Thailand when it comes to beaches. Maybe that's what I perceive. I saw a river in Thailand, and it was just a regular river like you'll find anywhere else. But perhaps we should look into the vibe of these places. One thing for sure is English language is very important. Surprisingly, it doesn't look important, but it is. When you visit Thailand compared to the Philippines, you realize the importance of English, like a middle ground or language, so that you have a measure of security when you're moving places. The thing is, in Thailand, the accent too is very strong. So even when they speak English, there is difficulty in you grasping what is being said. The Philippines, the signs are in English. People speak a measure of English, so that helps your transition or your journey, makes it more, puts you in a comfort zone. So if you want to see the beaches and stuff like that, I would say Philippines. I don't have too much experience, so I'll read about Thailand from the other article. Now, if you want to have like merriment, people to hang out with, depends on how extreme you want to go. Maybe Thailand. Thailand appears to be night and day buzzing when it comes to merriment. Philippines has nightlife, but the daytime is conservative to an extent. But Thailand, you already know, day or night. It's practically the same. People drinking beers during the day and all that, especially in Bangkok. And there appears to be more foreigners there, so depends. If you want to see more foreigners, then you go to Thailand. The Philippines, there are foreigners, there are locations with foreigners, and there are locations that are similar to Thailand when it comes to the merriment aspect. Both countries have that aspect to them, but one is extremer than the other, or one is more reserved on the surface. It doesn't mean that it's not extreme, but on the surface, more reserved. Thailand or Bangkok, especially, is more open. I know that other places in Thailand will not be like that, but to an extent, it will be like that. That's what I can tell. Like I told you, if you're looking for food, they'll tell you that Thailand food is better, but I would say that Filipino food is better. When I speak of countries and locations, I speak without an influence from nation, just courtesy of my human. And when it comes to the substance of food, the direction of food, then Philippines beats Thailand food. When I was eating some Thai food, I really don't know where to place matches. It's like a mix of different countries or continents. It doesn't really have a definition. Filipino food is like that, but not to the extent that Thailand food is. And Thailand food has a specific spice that makes it Thai. And you know, yes. Philippine food is more neutral, according to me. Expenses is a factor. I wouldn't know which is more expensive. The amazing thing I found out in Thailand is there are things that you will expect to be expensive and they're surprisingly cheap. And the things that you expect to be cheap are expensive. Places to stay are cheap in Thailand. Food is surprisingly cheap in Thailand. I don't know if transportation is that cheap, but to an extent cheap. But there are some things I can't remember right now on the spot, but there are some things that you'll be shocked at, like, how expensive it is. Food is cheap. If you want to marry and stuff like that, I'm sure that it won't be too expensive. Maybe similar to the Philippines. Philippines, on the other hand, is not too expensive. If you're visiting and you want to be in tourist mood and marry, it's not too expensive to get luxury that however rich the person is can get. At least a replica of it if you can't get the real thing. You want to ice skate, you can get it in a mall for 300 pesos. Uh, Almost everything that you can find abroad is in the Philippines, and I'm sure in Thailand. I mean, or a replica of that thing. Thailand appears more developed, especially Bangkok, when it comes to like infrastructure. It doesn't mean that it's more developed than the Philippines, but it appears so. Um, Now, being able to mingle, let me say 50-50, but you may enjoy the Philippines more because of the English aspect. Perhaps the Thais are more provocative, not provocative, more proactive, you know. But you're also proactive in the Philippines these days, or laid back until you all get into a comfort zone. So what more? Transportation depends. If you're using regular transport, it's not so expensive. And if you know how to, report and haggle, both places, they have a feeling that foreigners are bringing business, so they'll try to create business. So it depends on you. If you're in the mood for spending just to foot a brother's dream, then both places are similar. So for the most part, when it comes to me, when I comes to travel, I look for people. When it comes to creation and exploring creation, I'm more keen on exploring. the human creation. I feel that that's the topmost of creation on earth, and that's my interest. So when it comes to mingling with people, perhaps you'll get a more solid conversation in Philippines because the Thailand, there's that notion that the tourist has come there for tourism and pleasure. In some cases, tourists go there for some seriousness of business. So there's a tendency that you may get a more serious conversation in the Philippines, although almost 50-50. You know, both places entertain that a similar notion, but it's possible that you draw out, solid conversations with people in the Philippines because there is English too. So it's more easy going. It's more easy to spark a conversation and sustain it. What more? So now it's time to read from the article. Someone left an elaborate answer to the question based on our experience, and I'll just read through aspects of it, and I'll put the link to that article um, underneath this video. So this person is a professional photographer and an international travel. So her context may be narrow, so more related to picture taking and sightseeing. So, well, she says Thailand is known as a tropical paradise with a significant amount of rainforest, mountains, waterfalls, lakes, and a handful of nice beaches. So she's saying that a handful. So I think Philippines beats Thailand when it comes to beaches. Now, it doesn't mean that when there are beaches that one beats the other. Sometimes one nation may be more touristy in terms of the infrastructure, the adventures that they have created surrounding those beaches. So I don't know how developed both nations are when it comes to activities on beaches, but when in Boracay, there's a measure of activities, under scuba diving, going down under the sea, going on a parachute and being pulled by the speedboat. There's a ton of activities, and even in Olongapo or Subic, there's a ton of activities, the dolphins and stuff like that. You have those in the Philippines. Now, who knows? Thailand may have just a handful of beaches, but more activities. And when there are mountains, then it makes the beaches more exciting when it comes to activities. So who knows? So that's the. Her name is Charlotte, and rainforest. She says Thailand has rainforests. A great spot to visit, offering tons of different activities. This is referring to Thailand. Whether you're interested in a week holiday or you want to fully explore everything it has to offer, Thailand can provide you with both. But over the years, I'm going to paraphrase now, she's saying that most of Thailand was becoming so touristy, so losing much of its natural beauty. Of course, to add infrastructure, you have to destroy some of maybe the rainforest, the natural beauty. You have to add infrastructure and fanciful things for people to excite themselves with. So she's saying that some of these locations have lost their natural beauty compared to the Philippines, where the development for tourism is slower. So she's saying there are many things to do, including a visit to the Thai Burma Death Railway Bridge. Yeah, something that I missed is if you're looking for temples, those kind of older buildings that carry history, I think Thailand beats the Philippines when it comes to that. Yes. Um, so, yes, what I'll do is I'll drop the links to some of the places she visited. She mentioned the Erawan waterfalls as being stunning. That's in Thailand. And Another thing to do is stay at a homestay, which is usually hosted by a local family. They will make you dinner and include you in their morning ritual of giving food to the monks who row downstream to collect it. Okay, okay. So, yes, you mentioned things like snorkeling, which you have in the Philippines. Um, yes, I saw some of the waters in Thailand, but not as good as what I've seen in the Philippines. Now, she covered things like food, transport, some of the things I've covered. She reiterated on the nightlife in Thailand as being big wherever you go to. So, not only Bangkok is what she's saying. So, there are large strip of bars and parties lasting through the night. You also have that in the Philippines, but I think Thailand are more proactive in their approach. She also touched on accommodation being affordable. I experienced that as well, quite affordable in both places. Now, the Philippines, according to her, offers the most picturesque scenery that she has witnessed, with captivating white beaches aligned with rows and rows of palm trees, which are surrounded by crystal waters, clear waters, and limestone cliffs. That is true. It's unbelievable to the eyes. I'm serious. She mentioned Palawan, Coron, and of course, there's Boracay. She mentioned the Island Escape Tour, which will have you visiting three iconic and most Instagrammable beaches known as Malcapuya, Banana, and Buladas Islands. Yes, the article has some pictures, but anyway, see for yourself. Just like you see in the pictures, that's the shocking thing is what you will see when you visit these places. Sometimes when you look at the pictures, you'll think that it has been edited, but you'll be shocked when you get there, and it's just how it is in those pictures. And when she says Instagrammable, that's true. Without any fancy phone, you use any any phone, and you'll get picture clarity. Then she spoke of the underground river in Puerto Princesa, which was recently voted as one of the seven wonders of nature in 2017. Uh, yes. Then other things to do in the Philippines include swimming with a school of sardines in Moal Boal, swimming with something slightly bigger in Oslog called whale sharks. Yes. Another thing, there are many malls in the Philippines, and the malls have activities. So food, I spoke of food earlier. Transport is similar to Thailand, and how expensive it is. Um, According to her, she's saying nightlife in the Philippines is non-existent, um, but that's not true. That's not true. She spoke of Boracay being a party scene, but government closed it to tourists to avoid ruining its reputation, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said earlier, Philippines is not frontal, but underlyingly, all those things exist. So she spoke of accommodation as well as being cheap. So um, let me just highlight the pros that she mentioned. Thailand, friendly, approachable locals, beautiful scenery, waterfalls, beaches, lakes, mountains, many places to stay, homestays, many temples, accommodation and transport is affordable, wide range of activities, from beach days to extreme adventures, weather is incredible, food selection is fantastic, food is delicious. Yes. Now, cons for Thailand is too touristy. Unfortunately, the tourism has taken over many areas, especially places like Phuket, which is now known as a giant party place. And that is true. You don't even know who is a Thai in Thailand, especially Bangkok. You don't really know who is Thai anymore. You know. Then population is high, especially in Bangkok. She spoke of dirt, difficulty to walk on the streets, and Thailand traffic is insane. She said she saw a lady carrying her shopping on her mopped with a baby in one hand and staring with the other. There's a truck in front of her with about 10 people hanging off the back and trying to get anywhere takes hours. Anyway, okay, pros for the Philippines: friendly, approachable locals, the most beautiful scenery, the sea is crystal clear, tours on offer are amazing, hidden lagoons, beaches, islands are all incredible, perfect place for snorkeling and diving, the weather is hot, food selection is good. Cons: the food in the Philippines lacks selection and flavor. It is more expensive than Thailand. Surprisingly, that's very possible that it is. In a previous video, I was talking of Philippines being expensive, in contrast to what's said on the internet. It's a place that is cheap, it's quite expensive. Now, accommodation seems to be either very cheap and run down or extremely luxurious and expensive. Transport is unreliable. I'm sure she's talking of air flights. There's always delay with flights. But finally, she had to pick the Philippines. Hmm. So, depending on your reason for travel, and depending on how long you're staying, and depending on how much you want to mix business with pleasure and stuff like that, is what should enable you make your choice. According to me, I'll say visit both places, one after the other. And for the most part, I would say that use your times when traveling to explore creation and to be redirected to the creator Jehovah. Use it to evolve in your human, learn about your human, other humans as creation, and then be retold of the creator Jehovah. I'm your boy Terry. I'm in the Philippines, Manila. If you need help with anything, contact me. My contact is underneath this video, and the link to a good article to read on the subject is underneath this video. Go through it and stay awesome. My username is surpassing Google across the internet. I'm a legitimate illiterate, so most of my thoughts are expressed as a legitimate illiterate. Stay awesome.